Today we make our visit to Ephesus, and as will become apparent, there are a lot of other people visiting as well. Now we must give Aran a chance today to earn his Oscar nomination. Aran, action.
Action! Action!
Yeah.
This building.
Come on.
So we are going to go on. I want to be sure everybody is here first. Just a second. We are going to see a Heron. Heron. H-E-R-O-O-N.
We've entered the site at the top right hand corner, and we're going to look first at the baths.
Roman bath, right? So this Roman bath of 2nd AD in 5th century AD converted into a church, right? Two-storied bath. System was on the top over there. Water was flown down. Later I will take you a bath. You will see the sections of Roman bath. You know, there are sections of a bath. You can see the Roman mortar. This time well crafted or well made, you know, bricks, and with the cement, you see. These are first 6th AD mortar, I can see. And the keystone still keep the balance, you know, in the middle of arch. Ladies and gentlemen, surely they didn't reconstruct this Roman bath. That's why they do not allow us to go further today. They will do it within 5 years. You can see the big work. They cut the stone. You can see the hill was cut. And these people knew quarrying marble and working on stone. So mass production of Romans in marble was great, especially in this city, Ephesus.
And now a little further down the street we'll look at the Odeon. Although Aran points out the stability of the arches there, it's best to keep in mind that throughout this site, if you see a piece of stone on top of another one, it's probably been put there, or to give the benefit of the doubt to authenticity, replaced there quite recently, having been found in a pile of such stones recently unearthed. And here's one of the local residents. That Odeon, incidentally, would have been used for poetry readings, concerts and council meetings. This upper part of the town was for the governing class only. So, adjacent to the Odeon is the Prytaneon. This was a complex of buildings which we might call the town hall.
I've just stopped here for you to see and take picture, focusing on the column. You can see the Greek inscription over there, as well as on the walls of, you know, main entrance.
Yes, before the Romans arrived and took over, this was a Greek town. But rather than work backwards, let's go to the beginning of this story. We now believe that the original settlement of this place was made by the Amazons. Until quite recently, people believed the Amazons to have been a mythical race of female warriors, and people still seem reluctant to say where these people came from. But I think Brazil, obvious really, Amazons. That structure in the middle there is part of the Temple of Domitian, and these here are part of a 1st century monument in honor of Memmius, the grandson of the dictator Sulla. Anyway, it is believed that a settlement existed here as far back as 6000 BC. We're talking Neolithic age here. A Bronze Age, 14th century BC city is mentioned in Hittite sources. When the Ionian Greeks arrived in the 10th century BC, they renamed the place Ephesus. The place was captured by Cimmerian invaders in the 7th century BC, then by the Lydians in 560 BC. Soon afterwards, in 546 BC, the Persians took over. Alexander the Great arrived in 334 BC and the Hellenistic period began. When Alexander died, his empire was taken over by some of his generals, and Lysimachus took western Anatolia, including Ephesus. Then in 133 BC we come back to the Romans. Well, looks as though it's market day here. At the bottom of the street, Curites Street, we can see the Library of Celsus. We'll take a closer look at that later. We're now in the lower part of the street, which all plebs can use, so we should be okay. From its foundation until Roman times, Ephesus, in spite of many changes of ruler, was a wealthy town for two main reasons. Firstly, its harbour on the Aegean coast enabled it to build itself into an important centre of trade. Perhaps this had something to do with the fact that the king of those Lydians we mentioned earlier, namely Croesus, became so rich. Ironically, if that's the right word, it was the silting up of this harbour. Ephesus is now about 5 kilometres from the sea, which contributed to its decline. The second reason for the wealth of Ephesus was religion, although again, perhaps ironically, as we shall see, religion also contributed to the fall of Ephesus. An ancient goddess in the myths and beliefs of Anatolia, many of which incidentally became the foundation of the beliefs of the ancient Greeks, was Cybele, the earth mother goddess. When those Ionian Greeks arrived in the 10th century BC, they brought with them their belief in their equivalent goddess, Artemis. As the two peoples merged together, so did their goddesses. A temple of Artemis was built here and rebuilt several times, and eventually came to be called one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. We hope to see it, or what's left of it, later. I should say that the Temple of Artemis, along with several other things, is a little away from this central area, and we'll need to take the bus down there.
The depicted or statue was made by 2 feline animals, or wild animals. Sorry.
We're looking now at the baths of Scholastica and the latrines. And now the Library of Celsus, one of the highlights of the site because it's been so fully reconstructed, or at least its facade has. It could be one of those buildings put up during the classical revival, couldn't it? 16th, 17th century was it? Built originally in about 110 AD. A little earlier, sometime in the 1st century AD, Emperor Augustus liberated 2 of his slaves named Mazaeus and Mithridates. To show their gratitude to the emperor, his wife Livia, and their daughter Julia, these 2 had this portal erected, and it is now known as the Mazaeus and Mithridates Gate. If we now go through this gate and walk through the commercial agora, we will be able to see the great theatre. This is the place where St. Paul would address the Ephesians. Begun in Hellenistic times, the last alterations were made around 50 AD by Claudius and about 110 AD by Trajan, seating capacity around 25,000. Well, Uncle Cecil, what do you say now? All those film sets you had to build, recruit actors and get extras and show them what to do. And now I've got it all happening here in the real Ephesus. real ancient Roman Ephesian soldiers guarding their emperor, and real Egyptian dancers, real gladiators.
We are ready to die for your honor.
Good luck! Good luck! Hey, gloves!